been done. There I am.
Whoa.
Yeah, wow. I got used to my voice. Yeah, the backfilling hasn't been done, so there's still stuff that has to be done. But when Aaron did, I did have a chance to talk to Aaron immediately after. Yeah, he talked to the Blowies. And, one of his concerns was that they put a new electric panel in the garage. So he just wanted to make sure that all the items that were part of any new infrastructure were above the floodplain and all that. So we had to determine what the floodplain was. That's what you see, and you can already see, just based on the plans, that the existing level of the barn is below the floodplain area for that area. So we're at 173.1 is the flood height in that area, and then you've got the barn level at 171.4. So you got almost 2 feet of space. So we had to make sure that the panel was, and of course the panel's up here, so we are about 2 feet above, or about 1.5 feet above the floodplain. So that was one of Aaron's bigger concerns out there, is the other work that was going on. And of course, it being in compliance with any of the floodplain management requirements.
Anyone have any questions for Steve? Aaron, are they, this is after the fact.
It is after the fact. We're still working. I have the building permit and it's a limited residential shoreline zoning permit on my desk pending this. We did go out, we were very receptive. The guy that was working on the place was Stan, and Jack in the place, I guess, didn't realize the severity of the area with the floodplain. So they were good. They stopped. They haven't done anything up. They shorted up, from the time it was until now, just making sure with future renovations that we had the elevations should get in place moving forward. But it shored up the old barn. So they've done a good job. They've done it right. Just waiting on the particulars to make sure everything was in place.
So there shouldn't be any issue with us going ahead and issuing that permit. Okay.
Does this open up any obligations for the site to meet current standards as opposed to what standards might have been when it was erected a long time ago?
I think that would require 50% valuation
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
That isn't the situation here, though.
Not even close. Yeah, no. That's a great question, but yeah.
Well, it depends on what else is being done to the structure then, as far as the amount of cost. Or can you compartmentalize it into just doing the foundation?
Yeah, it would be compartmentalized based on the permit, yeah, on what is being impacted in terms of the floodplain. Right now, again, the barn's being emplaced, and we added electrical service to the barn. You could say those two things maybe are on the same piece, but if you're saying other work that's going on inside the house, they changed the radiator, or they...
Is the barn getting converted into a residential facility or anything like that?
No.
It's gonna cause there to be a lot more spending?
No, those things are not part of the permit application. No. Good question.
Trying to understand the whole picture.
Yep.
Anybody else have any?
Just, Steve, what you're doing to the basement, is that a 4-wall structure underneath?
No, not technically. So it's the 3 walls in the back. So basically, it's where the grade starts to drop, because remember that if you're going from the driveway, you're basically entering right into the garage. So that wall was not replaced.
I just was reading further into this, and I was like,
Yeah.
it looks like if we were doing 4 walls, then it would have to be stamped and approved.
Right.
There could be some other pieces, but thank you. And just, I'll say now, it's nice to see that building being worked on.
Yeah.
I would assume that, it's being restored. That's my assumption based on my sub-sill fence going, based on the amount of work, so. It's a pretty unique property.
It's a beautiful home. I think, and I won't speak for Gavin, but I think he and his wife are finding out that Maine's a little colder than Connecticut, and old houses get a little drafty.
And then the only other question was that like shower structure that was in the, looked like there was like a shower in the living room at one time. Was that coming out? That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, we've demoed that.
Yeah.
That was, I'm surprised it didn't collapse the floor quite honestly.
Sure.
It was underneath there. So yes, the house has been, it's a labor of love, but we're very excited to restore it to its former glory. It's, you know, the more I learn about the structure, the more I realize it's such a blessing. It was, you know, wonderful to have everybody's help here. And again, I thank the board for your consideration.
Is the house in the floodplain?
The house is in the floodplain, that's correct. The floodplain actually goes all the way out to the road in that area.
In the last, like the flood of '87, how far did the water get up into it?
In the 87, the first floor would have been underwater, yep. Well, I said that. The first floor would have been underwater using the data that makes up the firm maps today, but I don't have the history on the house as to whether that truly happened or not. You know, when they're doing those maps, and especially, remember, our maps are from 1995, so they were doing that all based on satellite imagery. Of course, there weren't half as many, not even a tenth of the amount of satellites back then, and so they were using visual reports and all that to kind of interpret where things were, but they could be off by 3 meters at that time, and as you know, 3 meters is 10 feet. You know, now when they're doing it, when they're correcting, like after Hurricane Sandy, they went in and corrected. We're now talking they're only off by 1 or 2 centimeters because of how we are with digit. And Maine has been, the entire state of Maine has been on their list to upgrade for the last 15 years, and we keep getting pushed back for if a storm hits Houston, when that all got wiped out, when Sandy hit New Jersey and New York, because our population is so low, we're just not a priority, because these are insurance maps. So it's not about you and me, it's about the insurance companies being able to make money, so.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to grant them the permit.
I move that we,
Okay, we have a motion to grant the permit. We have a second. Last opportunity to say anything about it?
I just have one question. This is for both the shoreland zone and the flood management permits, correct? Okay, thank you.
Is there,
I thought the shoreline zone was one that he was,
It's limited resident,
Oh, yeah,
so it doesn't.
it doesn't have to,
okay, thank you.
okay. We'll vote then. All those in favor, please raise your hand. You have your permit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Oh.
for later. Later.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Move down to item number 6, updates to the solid waste management ordinance. Cindy was not available for tonight, so I was instructed that Aaron was apprised of all the changes and will be happy to walk us through them.
I would, huh? Yeah, Cindy can't make it. There was a few things, sorry, let me get it pulled back up. Right here. Everything looked okay. There was an only portion of, I think it was the, section 5 rules and regulations. It was, to get the fees out. There's still fees in there. It was the update update was to get the fees schedule out of there completely. That way, the ordinance doesn't become dollar amounts.
Sure, and that's permits and licenses and the reuse and resale as well.
Correct,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
that'll
I see
still
that.
be on, yeah. And then there was one other. It's- Was the preparation of recyclables, the list on there, because of the way it changes, was to have it posted. It's posted up there, it's posted, they'll change it on the town's website, and then all the bins and stuff up there also are posted on how to break them down. You know, I think the day of the newspapers and, you know, or not newspapers, but phone books on there, so. That was the only additions she had to that.
There's still some things in here that we talked about removing last meeting,
Which,
such as bundling with the,
That's what I was talking
That's
about, yeah,
part of
to
it.
take the thing, to take the fees schedule out of the ordinance, so that way, if it needs to get changed depending on cost of,
talking
doing
about-
business, and then the preparation of materials, like
Right,
you're talking
page
about, was
9.
to remove, that's what I was just saying, to remove that stuff from there.
it's still in there.
I know, that's what I'm saying, that's what we need to still update.
Okay.
Cindy's not here, so that's what she asked me to,
I thought this would have been updated and presented to us as
that's yeah, that's
what
what we're
was
doing.
intended to be improved. So it's not there yet.
No, you have the adjusted one. We're still adjusting it, so it's some foggy portions in the printout that's in red.
We don't have the color.
I'm trying. Let's just see that.
We don't.
So basically, all the red things are the things that are new from the last time that we,
Would have been read on your email. but
Would have
not
been
on-
red. They're in your email. They were emailed to you. They are red.
So the,
So
looking through the highlighted components, the other thing I was thinking about that I can't remember if we discussed last time was, we had been trying to format all the ordinances to look the same too. So it would seem like, the general consensus was, that there was agreement on, taking these highlighted aspects out last meeting.
we've actually signed a contract with the town with a general code development program.
Oh, cool, okay.
There are some bigger towns that have done it. We actually budgeted it, and that was just signed a couple weeks ago. So actually, all the ordinances for the town, everything will be combined into one book. And they will update, they're gonna go through it, and research every ordinance we have
Okay.
to outline them and go through. It's a big project, it can take about 2 years to do.
Okay.
They'll break down every single one of them, so everything will be in the same format, in one book. We'll have 2 masters, one in my office and one in the town office. Then we'll come to the meetings with us and stuff like that, and they'll publish everything online and do a whole thing. It'll be a very good thing to the town, a very good one-stop shop. There's been a lot that's gone into it.
So hearing that, it seems to make sense that we want to move forward with this. We'll need to update shoreline zoning, of course. It seems like we probably want to wait on all this SOAR stuff. No, just kidding. But, so we'll go through, but I imagine in a year or two, we're probably going to have to take that one sort of thing that they come, and we're going to have to approve that as well, because there may be additional changes just because of the format.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, that's good. I'm just kind of curious. I'm going to throw this out there. Should we set sort of a target for just getting a redraft on this so that we can look at it? And then I assume we'll have to do a public hearing because this is like all our other ordinances.
Yeah, what you guys were emailed, that Turner put forth in the red are the
Yep.
adjustments that we've talked about,
Okay.
which is what you have the print off of.
Yep.
Is the adjustments that we talked
Sure.
about. There were still a few things that didn't get, removed out of there, such as the fee schedule and the breakdown of the stuff, which you wanted me to confer to Turner, that we still need to remove those.
Sure.
So we'll get that redrafted
Great.
for our next meeting. We'll go over it. If everything looks good, then we can give a thumbs up. You guys can give a thumbs up, and we'll draft it up, and we'll be waiting for the next public hearing.
And then, I don't know why I never remember this, but I feel like we do the public hearing. Do we send it to the select board before we do the public hearing? Is that correct? Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Okay. We'll move to the next item.
We need to edit this still? Because there's portions of it that didn't get edited.
Are there some
A lot of
things?
the language is reworked in the section.
I'm looking
but
at
there's
this,
a list.
and this list on page 9 has not been edited.
It'll be removed. It'll be removed in the language.
That's why I'm asking, do we need to do that tonight? Or let you do it?
I don't believe so.
Just trying to get things done.
Okay. So I take it then that means those are items we talked about before that are still here that you're going to pull out. All of those, and then they'll be brought back to us again.
We'll do another draft, yes, for
Okay.
the next meeting, and, in the same setup. And then take a look at it, if everything's there that we had discussed, so you guys look at it again, and we'll draft up one, and it'll be ready for the selectmen, for the next public hearing, if we have one sooner than the summer, it'll be ready to go, if not, then that's when it'll.
Okay.
They plan on having one anyways to
Well,
do all the stuff for.
We'll move on to new business. Discussion regarding shoreline zoning ordinance in Wittenbrook by Brian. Is he
He had to run.
He had to leave.
He had to run. So, do you know what this is? Is anyone else here able to represent what he's going to bring to the table?
I believe he had to bring it forward as part of the grant that they're doing with Wittenbrook and the shoreline zoning. And there were items that, I don't know, he just sent it to me. Need to be looked at, found in document. There's definition of impaired stream. This is for the shoreline zone ordinance. Impaired stream protection overlay district, strengthen section 15, setbacks, impervious surfaces, site-specific stormwater, third-party inspector, no new subdivisions or commercial uses, required DEP consultation and monitor and review clause, all need to be looked at in that ordinance. Although I think we've, oh no, I'm thinking of, none of those items are included and they'd like them to be, I believe, so he's more versed on it.
I haven't had the conversation with him in depth on it, so I'm really not sure. I think that's very serious to run out, so we'll just have to reschedule that to get on that.
Okay. Well, let's move on to item B. Discussion regarding sewer ordinance and septage receiver.
So I found a policy that's not on our website. It's the sewage policy. It was approved in '88. Brent basically had just been verbally enforcing that policy with septage receivable, the septage conveyance companies. We're licensed to receive septage. So we have this policy. We're going to amend this policy. Nick and I have been talking about it. The root of this is, in that policy, it talks about receiving money for volume for septage receivable. We haven't been following the policy, so we need to amend the policy. We need to make it better, but then we need to put legal framework into the ordinance to support the policy. So what happened was, policies from like '88, ordinances from '04. So we had policy, ordinance, and now we're not using the policy. So Nick and I are going to rewrite the policy. We're going to get approved by the select board. We're going to create a fee structure in the policy. And then I had a meeting with Ken, and once we get this policy rewritten, we're going to amend the sewer ordinance to have that legal verbiage backing to support the policy.
You're saying what you've you've been doing wasn't according to the policy,
Yes and no.
nor was it according to the ordinance.
Yeah, the ordinance doesn't really have anything about septic receival, and everything was in the policy. And what Brent had been doing was, up until 2023, sending acknowledgements to the septic haulers, stating, "Do you acknowledge our septic receival policy?" And that was the most of it. And basically, it's like, don't mess our plan up. Make sure we're licensed for it. We have to regulate where it comes from, who it comes from. We also staff for it. So we want to just modernize this policy, level the playing field when it comes to creating revenue from septic receival. Right now, we're not getting any revenue. And there is, in that policy, there is rates for out-of-town users. And so we're licensed to 10,000 gallons a day. So we're not charging for what we're currently getting. And then there's also room to potentially charge for more.
How much are you getting a day?
So last year we did 280,000 gallons of septic.
So a day would be,
We're limited to 10,000 a day.
you don't know what that number is per day.
The average?
Yeah.
No, because it's all by when people decide to get. So we get commercial haulers and we get residential.
Is it local people or?
It's all local. It's all in network right now. But we're allowed to take out of network. Brent had just never done it because he was saving all the capacity for in town. So he didn't really want to go through the nuance of, we got this much allocation for in town, we have this much allocation for out of town. So he pretty much just said no out of town, even though we can, and we could potentially create revenue from that. And it's listed in our policy to do that, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I mean, the purpose is to serve the town, not for the town to go into business taking other people.
Well, we need to charge the in-network, and we're not doing that right now. And that's the root of it. And as for the fee base, we can leave that to the select board. They can decide fees. But we need to reinforce this fee structure because, okay, here's a good data point. Septage is 80 times harder to treat than regular sewage. So we're trying to level the playing field. We're overburdened by the septage, and we're losing a lot of money.
So isn't?
Yes.
Okay, the residents of Skowhegan.
Yes.
Who live outside of
Mhm.
it are not charged, right? They are charged in the town.
We don't accept out of town, even though we could accept out of
I'm
town.
not talking out of town.
Yep, yep.
In the
Nobody in this town is charged for septage, and there's no regulation for volume, or there's just the daily allotted licensing through the DEP.
So you're talking fees, who are these fees going to be charged?
So I have a good printout, and Nick and I are gonna go through this and really get this out, but, there's Kennebec Sanitary District, that's Fairfield, Waterville, and I think 2 other communities. They have a good structure that we're gonna probably base it off of. You have in-network, you have out-of-network, and then you have commercial. So anyone in-network that is already a taxpayer would be given the lowest, most reduced rate. And if you use the Kennebec fee system, which we can leave the fees up to select board and/or planning board, you guys can decide the fees, or the select board can.
You're saying residents are going to have to pay?
Yes, yes,
But you're actually double charging them, aren't you?
no.
I mean, if I
No,
live out-
because the nature of the sludge is 80 times harder to treat. So it's a bigger burden to the plant. And it also coincides with, in the comprehensive report, long-term goals of the planning board is to tie more people to the sewer system. So right now, we're incentivizing to not be on the system. And so what happens to is there's commercial entities that are not on the system, and we can't control the volume, and it's a heavy burden. So yes, we would be charging the same base, but it would be reducing the overall budget of the building. Yep.
Doesn't the entire town pay taxes that pay for our in-ground sewer system and our facilities?
Well, it's all on the mill rate.
All of our treatment facilities, are they not covered by our taxes?
Right now, it's all on the mill rate.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the people that aren't piped up to the system are paying for the system.
They're paying.
Even
Yes.
though they're not.
But they're creating
So-
a
So
burden.
you're asking those people,
Mhm.
excuse me, let me finish. You're asking the people that are already paying taxes for a system that they don't use to continue to pay those and to pay additional monies for emptying their
should
tanks occasionally so that you can.
And that'll be up to the select board and planning board to initiate those rates.
You're double charging the people.
But you're not seeing the point of the 80 times.
I don't.
So, yep.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about basically charging those that need their septic tanks pumped out
Mhm.
maybe once every 5 years.
Yeah, so I have estimates for that. So the average like homeowners septic tank, maybe 3,000. I think they're even smaller than that. And you're maybe looking at pumping it on a pretty fast thing every 3 years. So with current rates of Kennebec sanitary sewer, you're looking at maybe $160 every 3 years. So,
But what he said is very true.
yes, but it's the nature of
They're
this.
giving you
Yes.
money, or it would be me,
Mhm.
okay? Because I'm not, I have property outside of town that's not
Mhm.
hooked up to the sewer system. You would be asking me to pay again when I've already paid
Mhm.
in my property taxes.
Mhm.
And you're asking every other person to pay again.
You're-
Why should you focus on penalizing those?
It's not
that
penalizing.
haven't- You are, because you
No, it's
haven't-
leveling the playing field, so it's a huge burden on the plant, it's operational costs. I've rebuilt this sewage pump, I've gone through the records, it's cost this town $30,000 in 2 years, it's one pump. So we don't have the proper facility for Receivable, it's 20 years old. We can't limit the amount, we're going from 200 to 300,000 gallons of septage.
Okay, then do this.
Mhm.
Take what people that aren't on the town sewer system, take their tax money, the proportion of it that goes, and put it in just for receiving the sewage that comes in shipped by commercial haulers when we have it pumped out of our tanks.
So the
That would be
reduced.
fair.
So the reduced in-network rate, which would be lower than other competitors, would be that acknowledgement factor of the taxes paid. So there's another factor that you're not considering is that everyone that's tied to the system pays a fee to get tied to that system, capacity fee, so.
It's a very minimal fee that don't even begin to cover. It just, it's sort of, we are aware it's a very small amount of fee to.
So not doing this does cost the town more money and all the taxpayers. Do you understand that?
Well, but. what
Because
you
the
want-
burden of 300,000 gallons, so at 80 times, how much is that coming from the waste stream? That's 22 million gallons of
2.4 million.
2.4?
Do the math.
Thank you. Yeah. So that's the burden. I have it written down, the burden, and it also opens up this out of state or out of town. We could potentially create revenue from that. So.
Well, you've got, they're already paying taxes.
Mhm.
Then they gotta pay someone to come out and pump it, and then they've gotta pay another fee. They're really getting hit 3 times every few years. I don't see that being fair. It's unfortunate that maybe it takes 80% more to process this stuff, but, that's just how it is, and I think it's not fair to ask these people to pay, for 3 years. Let's say they do it every 3 years. A lot of people don't. A lot of people, once it's in the ground, they ignore it. They got a 1,000-gallon tank. They gotta get someone like, Central Maine, septic or something, come over and they charge them $200 to pump it?
Well, the point isn't how much we charge. You guys can determine that. The point is leveling the playing field and recouping these lost costs from the septage program. So,
The thing is, the playing field isn't level. It only becomes close to being level whenever people bring their sewage that are paying taxes to our sewage plant, okay?
well, I could put a primer to you guys together and get all the data points together of the costs and
You're not seeing what we're talking about.
I hear you. I understand.
I understand you need more money to.
It's not about money. I estimate the total, if I took the septage we received last year and I apply it to the Kennebec district's fee base, looking at $38,000 in revenue. So this isn't a money grab. This isn't about trying to get money. This is about recouping the costs that this burden is causing to the plant. So the plant is designed for everyone to be hooked to the collection system. It's not designed to have half the town not on the collection system. And these data points are a part of that 80 times, because it's about biological process.
This town has been rural for a long, long time, and it will continue to be that way for a long, long time.
And the cost to put infrastructure to hook the whole town up, that would dwarf anything that you're complaining about.
Tens of millions.
You know, that would be ridiculous, that'd be impossible. That would not work. Yes, Dan?
I think I understand where it's coming from. Let me ask you a question real quick. All the sewage is coming to you from the system here in town. It's dilute.
It's dilute. It's a different biological.
And what you get off a truck
is anaerobic,
is a slug.
and it comes in at 15 times the concentration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see it.
So it's the biological burden of anaerobic, of these septage waste. It's the nature of septage. The difference between septage and wastewater and the volume reaching the plant and we need to regulate, we already have to regulate every person, volume, we staff for it, all to accept it. And so we need to recoup some of the costs that this burden is on the plant.
What's your yearly budget?
What's that?
What's your yearly budget?
Just under $1 million.
Just under $1 million. And on average, I don't know if you can figure this out, you know, all the infrastructure buildup that has had to take place in order to do what you do, that's over and above the yearly budget. That would be like bond items that would take care of, you know, all the new apparatus that you have there. So how much money do we have invested in that plant?
How much is the plant worth?
Yeah, how much is the plant worth? How much money is invested in the plant? Yeah.
The valuation on the comprehensive report is $20 million.
$20 million, okay. Add all the sewage lines that throughout the town and how they're maintained. Okay? Give that to the half of the people, take that amount of money, and half of the people get the use of that in town every day. Okay, so we'll say $40 million, okay? $40 million facility and a $1 million yearly operating budget. So half of the people get the use of that every day. So you take those half, if we have 8,000 people in town, that's 4,000 get to use that. The other 4,000, if they want to any benefit whatsoever, even though they're paying the same amount of taxes, okay, they have to pay over and above.
Well, there's
That's
also
fair.
there's also commercial entities with this. So
Well, I mean, that can, you know, that's something, commercial entities, when you're talking about
commercial entities that are not tied
that aren't
to this
taking
collection system,
residential,
so they haul to us. Yes.
but they're not hauling from, where are they hauling from?
They have holding tanks
Where do they get their septage?
from housing or
In Skowhegan.
yes.
Okay, so they're the same. They're just the people that bring it to you. They're the ones that are paid by the half of the town that doesn't get the benefit. Okay? Has to pay them. That's how they stay in business. It's, I don't think you're gonna find too many people wanting to support what you're asking for.
Well, the root of this is saving the town money. So that's what I think we're,
It'll
We're
save the
not-
town money by put a burden on a half of the town, and the other half that's already using your service,
well,
they
that's
don't have any burden.
what's going on right now with,
No, I'm talking about the burden that you want to put on is those who aren't using the service. Those who don't have city sewer.
so it's important to get people on the collection system, okay? And it's due to the nature of the wastewater. And so we want to incentivize, and it's part of the long-term comprehensive plan of the planning board, is to increase and get, we don't want to keep having these housing develops all be on private sewer because it creates a burden on the plant. So that's the root of what we're getting to here.
What can you do? I mean,
And we don't really have the facilities, so in this new facilities plan that I'm working on, one of the things that we're working on is septage receival. And so our septage receival was putting in '04, and we just don't really have the right facilities. So let me talk about some of the things. So we have like a screen for the septage. And so here's the other thing. All kinds of things go into these septage tanks, and we don't really have the right rock catch. We don't really have the right screening. We're supposed to have grinders. It's harder to treat this. I have all these documentation, and that's the reason I'm coming here. That's why I keep saying leveling the playing field. This is harder to treat than this. And we don't really have the facility to do it. And so if we continue down this road, the burden is just going to increase.
Why do you not have those facilities? This need has been there for 50 years or more.
Well, we're addressing it in
Why do you not have those facilities today?
We're addressing it in this upcoming facilities plan, and I hope you all support me in the upgrade in that plant.
So you've ignored that half of the town's burden for a long period of time.
Well,
And
I
now
don't think
you're
we
trying
should,
to fix it.
I don't think we should shoot the messenger.
Right.
I think that,
I'm just
yeah.
asking, like, now we're trying to fix something that's 50 years old.
I think Donnie's pretty new.
Just trying to
He's
figure
come
out-
in, every time I've seen him present, he's been very clear, very open. The fact that he's come to us with this and like this modernization.
I can put something together, I can put a primer together, and I can get these data points of how the sewage versus the septage is to the plant and how it is economically.
Apples and oranges.
Yes, it's not the same.
In the original policy, so were there fees in the policy that is not?
There are fees in the policy for out-of-network, so we're able to do it. We're legally able to do it. We're licensed to accept 10,000 gallons a day.
Right.
And Brent had just verbally told each company, because he didn't want there to be confusion in capacity. So he reserved for in-network.
Okay, so there are
Yeah.
already fees just for out-of-network, but.
We have fees in the policy right now. We could take out-of-network and create revenue from that, so.
now, let me ask
Yeah.
you this. You're complaining that you can't handle the town's septage, but you're willing to take out-of-town septage for money. Explain it to me.
Well, that would be along the lines with this upgrade. So we'd be able to see the capacity that we could take. So, but right now we're at 10,000 gallons. So we're allowed to take up to 10,000.
We used to have a problem with the system overflowing because of infiltration of runoff water, right?
Yeah, we still do. Yeah.
And so if we start receiving more material from outside into our system that currently can't handle those runoff conditions, aren't we putting ourselves at greater risk during runoff if we've loaded our system up further?
What, by putting more people on the system?
No, more septage. From
Well, the septage gets
outside.
delivered to the plant, so it doesn't go through the collection system.
So it doesn't cause from runover problems during a stormwater situation?
It doesn't, no, it doesn't, and we don't accept septage during high flow periods, so, yeah. We actually have a bleed-through tank, so that's how we're able to accept the septage. We have a tank, we hold it, and then we bleed it in the system, and that's our best control practice we have, and it's less than perfect. And so what I'd like to see in this facility plans upgrade is we're looking at aerobic digestion. And what aerobic digestion does is it reduces the total volume of your sludge. So right now, my biggest bill is $140,000 a year to waste management in Norwood. So if I could reduce that bill by 30%, that saves the town that 30%. And so along with that aerobic digestion, we can tie that septage receival into the aerobic digestion. So the septage receival is never going into the plant and causing biological upset. We're not putting anaerobic activity into an aerobic environment. And so long-term, if we do this aerobic digester, we could increase the amount, increase revenue from out-of-town septage. That wouldn't affect the plant, so, yeah. Yeah, and the stab isn't about, I'm just saying we could create it, and we actually have it right now. There's a rate of $25 per 1,000 gallons we could charge right now. We could have been charging for the last 20 years. And Brent had just reserved the capacity for in town. And so what I'm proposing is we have this super reasonable in-network rate of acknowledging the taxpayer base and helps recoup the costs of repairing these pumps. And then we have the other levels, and Nick and I are working out capacity and how we're gonna do all that, but we can have this nice network of regulation, which we're already doing, and then recoup some of the administration fees that we are already burdened with from, I have to staff a guy down there for this, you know? I mean, I'd love to take my guys, we all go work on a pump station, we can't do that, so we staff it, we're licensed for it, and we have to regulate it. And right now, we're only receiving the overall budget money for it, and we can't control the volume. Like when Brent wrote this policy in the early 90s and amended it, I was looking at the record, they were getting 40,000 gallons in septage then, you know, and now we're getting, this year's 280,000 gallons. And I just put like $5,000 in this pump, and he rebuilt that pump last year, and it's like, we're feeling it now financially. So, and that will only increase. So this is really about creating a control mechanism for the amount of volume that we get and the nature of the volume, so.
I feel like the conversation around fees, one of the things that's missing is sort of a fee based on volume.
Yes.
And I've always been sort of, you know, surprised that this hasn't come up more.
Mhm.
You know, based on the needs of that plant, you know, as Andy mentioned, you know, those have been not talked about enough, you know, the needs for upgrade, maintenance. And, you know, I sit around the table and I think, you know, our household is probably using more volume than some of the people.
So here's the thing, this is the big misconception too, and this is what I emailed Brian about. Our plant is rated to a volume. When the DEP, like Madison's 5 MGD, million gallon per day, we're 1.65. But capacity isn't about volume. Capacity is about strength. So in the comprehensive report, it says that we're at 75% capacity. That value is based off of volume, not off of strength and waste. And so if we change the businesses in town, we have more restaurants, we have more hotels, those are high strength waste. That changes the strength of the waste, and that's our allocation for biological treatment. Because when you run biological treatment, it's run, one of the major control points, it's FM, food to mass ratio. And so what happens is, and the worst thing is you don't have enough food. So that happens to like tourist towns, like Old Orchard Beach, they go from 100,000 people to, you know, whatever their winter thing is. So what I'm talking about is the F to M, and that's what controls the biological process. And so when we go from 40,000 gallons of septic receival 20 years ago to 280,000 gallons of septic receival now, and we have no control methods for, like, I hope the town doubles in size, right? I hope all these businesses come in, but the way that we have it set up, we're almost incentivizing not being tied to our system. And that's harder to treat, and it's creating a burden. And I didn't bring the numbers for you today, but I can put them all together of that burden over time, and it's creating a projection to the future that's unsustainable and is causing the town more money on fixing things when we should be spending money on improving things. And, you know, we're backstepping on this, so.
Does that, because of that increase, what is the quality of the discharge?
We've been doing pretty good. We're dealing with other issues from industrial users, but it can affect it, and it can affect it negatively, especially during the dry months. We had the drought, August and September. We're getting very minimal flow, and we're getting maximum septage receival from everyone's, you know,
That's when you pump the thing.
that's when you pump your tanks. And so it's kind of a bad time. And that's why we have this bleed out system. And that's why we need a better system where we pump this right to our aerobic digester, and it's not even an issue. So it has in times caused issues, especially in these low flow drought periods. So we're just getting August, September, we're getting bam, 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 we're getting hit with everybody's, you know, is doing it. So,
So do we have concentrated areas of town that are not connected to the septic system?
there are
System?
because of the way the river is, our last pump station going east is Heselton. And so everything east to Heselton's really not on the system. So every single housing development, every commercial business, every house is on private sewer on that section of town. We've expanded up towards Dr. Mann, we've expanded out this way, and so there's a couple bigger sections.
Is that housing development up there, what do you say, on the, not the document, but the Woman's Building, is that connected to the sewer?
I'm not sure, and it's something we need to think about, is like, we put a new housing development, we want them on the system. It's better for the plant, it's better for them.
Those are things we looked at when we
Yeah.
did subdivisions.
Yeah.
Those are questions we
You want to, if you're going to lean one way, you want to lean to going onto the system. It just helps everyone
The
out.
rule is if you're within the system, you have to connect.
Yes,
If the system
that is,
doesn't
yeah.
extend to you, you don't really have the choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, that's just a, you know, everybody that can be is.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of people would rather not be.
Hooked to the system.
But
Yeah.
everybody that can be is just because it's required.
Yeah. Well, it's, when it comes to treatment, it's preferred. It comes in a different biological activity. And so,
Well, maybe you need to develop a system that will take the dense septage and thin it out and expose it to these aerobic processes.
well, that's the long-term plan with that facilities plan to upgrade. If we do put an aerobic digester in, we could save the town a lot of money, and we could improve the resiliency of our septic receival program.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Which would be more expensive to the town? To go through the cost of extending our sewer system everywhere so everybody was on sewer, and then you getting everything at a slow drip, which is pretty much what you're saying it is, right?
Well, it's coming in fresh.
Fresh.
Yes.
Okay, fresh and,
Yeah.
and not, okay.
Yeah.
So the cost of doing that, or the cost of improving your ability to handle septage as it comes in and
Well-
how big are the trucks are that pick it up? How
Yep.
many gallons? 3,000 gallons?
You know, and the way your point of this town will always be rural, and we have a lot of space, and it's not practical to run sewer. We already have 36 miles of sewer. Madison has 15, but their plant's 5 times bigger than ours. So that's because they used to run the mill. So every system's different. We already have a massive collection system. We're actually doing a really good job. And yes, we do want expansion. We do want any new major housing. You want that tied to the system. They don't want the burden of hauling, and we don't want it. So I think we need to find a middle ground when it comes to that. We do want to expand the system. It is a part of our long-term plans. And then there's also sections of town where we may never be able to do it. And so with that facilities plan upgrade, we can build resiliency at the plant, and we can build a better network out of the plant. So we don't have to go one way or the other. We just need to acknowledge what's going on, acknowledge the burden that's on the plant, and make thoughtful long-term decisions.
I think the only real opposition that anybody's had to you is who bears the cost.
Yes. And so, yeah.
Those of us that haven't been getting the benefit and been paying anyway are now being asked to bear the cost, and that's what the objection is.
And so I think the route for that is I don't decide, you guys decide, and you guys can come up with fair rates based off of other municipalities.
Well, I mean, I don't know that theirs is fair.
Well, right now it's not fair.
Okay.
So that's the major point I need you to understand is right now it's not fair.
Aaron?
Yeah.
Can I just ask a quick
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
Just because I'm sitting back here and I am a resident. Not to get off topic, but the towns that you're bringing forward for these fee schedules are not rural like we are. Do we have any data from towns that do this that are rural like we are? Because you're pulling out Waterville, you're pulling out Lewiston, you're pulling out Portland. They're not Skowhegan. So I'm just asking, is there a fee schedule basis on?
Yeah, I think the Kennebec
monitors?
one's a great one. Because it has in-network, it has out-of-network, and then it has commercial. So you acknowledge the in-network, and then you acknowledge the out-network, and then you acknowledge the commercial. So.
It'd be interesting, just thinking quickly, like, even places that we think of as urban areas, there's a fair amount of out-of-town development, like even in Augusta.
Yeah.
Winslow and places like that,
Or there's Wyndham that doesn't even have a treatment plant. And they're backstepping, and it's coming in at the cost, construction costs are 4 times higher. So I invite you all to call the town manager of Wyndham and ask him about wastewater treatment. Because it's a nightmare. Every single business so this is what happened in Wyndham. Every single business is on private in Wyndham. And so what happened was the DEP started to find high nitrates in the soil. So the DEP came in and said, no more expansion. You can't expand your town until you put a treatment plant in. So that's where Wyndham is. Wyndham's actually growing right now, growing a lot. They have a Chipotle Starbucks combo. And I think that means your town has made it. And what's crazy is it's 2025 and they're just putting in their collection system. They're just putting in their wastewater treatment plant. And it's a massive burden for that town. And it's also causing environmental problems. So that's a good example of locally of a town that never updated their system. And their entire economic viability is being withheld by the DEP.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing great.
We would be happy for you guys to come up with the infrastructure necessary to handle what you think can't be handled right now of the town's waste. if we can't handle the town's waste, I'm still wondering why
It's
you're wanting somebody else's waste.
It's not about handling, I'm just saying it's an increased burden. So everyone that's paying the same rate that's on the system, and everyone that's paying the same rate that's not on the system, it's not the same.
If you
The
were
volume
gonna
that we're
put
bringing in.
a facility such as
Mhm.
an aerobic
Yep.
digester.
Aerobic digester.
Aerobic
Yep,
digester,
yep.
okay. If you were gonna put that
Mhm.
facility in, then there might be real value in bringing in additional volume, because you.
Yeah, and then we'd have the framework too,
That volume
to,
would help pay for the facility. But
yeah.
Right now, without that facility, why do it? Why even go there?
Well,
This doesn't
one
make
is,
sense, because it increases the size of the problem that you're saying you have. It makes no sense to bring in outside volume
I don't think
to
that's what you're
increase,
pitching.
to
Question.
increase the
That-
problem that you say you
I'd
have.
like to clarify something. The
Yeah.
outside volume is coming from within the towns, the
Yeah.
sludge is coming out of those septic tanks,
No,
right?
no, he's saying bring it in from other cities.
if we can, and we can handle it, and it's money this town can make, I don't see why you wouldn't.
I would only do it
Well,
if you're putting in a
another question.
facility that
Yeah.
needs that volume.
Is that volume coming in from outside of town?
Right now,
Yeah,
no, that 280,000 gallons from All In Network.
okay.
Yep.
We understood that, but he was suggesting that they be able to take out of town sludge for a price.
I understand that. I understood that too,
Why
but,
make the current problem bigger?
yeah, so,
We're already
but
oversized.
I'm thinking that the plan to do that later is later. Yeah.
If it's later after they've got something that will handle the towns, then great.
If you put in the facility to treat that, the aerobic digester, then it makes sense to bring in that outer volume to help pay for it.
I think
Yeah.
that's what you're talking
But
about.
until you put that facility in, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, but you're not asking to take in out-of-town stuff. You're just saying you need to compensate for what's already in town.
I know what you've got bug problems. You've got anaerobic bugs.
It's see, that's what people don't get. It's not 1 for 1. It's 1 + 1 = 3.
Yeah.
It's biological proliferation. It's the nature of the waste that we are receiving. It's the volume and the nature. And right now, the projection that we're going, even with in-town network, it's not that we can't handle it. It's just that it's increasingly costing us more money, and it would make sense for us to enforce this policy that we already have, amend it to the ordinance so legally it has that footing, and then we can amend that and level the playing field and potentially lower the overall cost of the budget.
I don't, you keep talking about leveling the playing field.
Yes.
I don't think it is, because the amount of material that goes through your system by somebody that's on the sewer system dwarfs, once in 5 years, my septic tank being pumped out. It's not even close. There isn't any, it can't be.
But that sounds like an assumption, like I think he has like data that he could provide.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too, though, is, like he was saying, they've increased it by, what, you said 220,000 gallons?
Well, the old projections, when I went through the archives, when Brent was working this policy out and how, because there's a certain regulation that we need to do because we need to track toxicity. So we need to take the address, the volume of every single person. And so there's all these admin layers of this that we're already legally obligated to do because we're licensed to accept this septage. And so what's happening is it's increasing more and more and more and more, and we don't have anything in our ordinance about who it's from and how much and over time, and so.
What's the average water usage per household in Skeffy?
We'd have to get that data from Maine Water.
I'm just wondering.
I do have total numbers on, and next meeting, I can bring you cost burden numbers of total volume treated total cost of volume treated, price per gallon of volume treated. We can compare it to the septage, we can compare it to the collections network. If that makes you all feel better about this idea that we're double charging, right? So that's the root of the hesitation.
A lot of cities,
Mm-hmm.
the sewer bill is geared to the volume of fresh water that the individual household
Mm-hmm.
facility.
Yeah, user fee is based on the volume, yeah.
And that's not done in this town either, I don't
Mm.
believe.
No.
So that's another, you spoke of adjusting for volume.
Well,
use.
yeah.
That's something that we're not doing, and that causes an inequity between our people, because there's big users and the small users, and the small users are paying more than they should. Big users
Well, I'm hesitant.
aren't paying as much as they should. And so the burden is not very equitable in that area
Mm-mm.
either.
No, and there's a difference between the commercial waste and the residential. And there's also the tracking of the commercial waste and toxicity. And so every year, we file for a toxicity waiver. And so if I just sign the form this week, in its simple form, do you know of any outside new sources of toxicity? And the answer is no. But if we're not regulating these commercial spaces that are bringing us this septage, and we're not doing that correctly, it could create, we could create an event where we're obligated to do these toxicity samples every year, which could potentially cost the town like $10,000 a year. So we're obligated to do them every 5 years. So if we're not regulating where everything is coming from and our obligations of our license, it could potentially balloon into a pretty big problem. So we're already doing all this tracking, we're already taking the burden on, and so really this is about, trying to recoup some of the lost cost of receiving 280,000 gallons of septage.
Thank you for doing the article in the Morning Sentinel.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good profile, and you kind of went over everything, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think that we get Aaron to do a profile, because
Yeah.
I know he likes.
So, did everybody see that?
No.
Or some people? So one of the first things I noticed when I came to Skowhegan Water Pollution Control is there's a plaque on every plant. And it has the select board and the engineering people. That one's dated 1972. And the first thing I saw that, and why is that important? So Clean Water Act's 1972. So if you go around the state and look at all those plaques of when they were built, they're all after 72. Portland's 78, Cape Elizabeth's in the 80s. I think Norwalk's like the 90s. And so Jake from Central Maine Newspapers dug up original photos of the construction dated to 71. And he found a vote from the select board from 71 to fund that. And so this town may have the oldest or one of the oldest secondary treatment plants in the state, maybe even of New England. And so what does that tell us? That tells us we have a precedent of due diligence and environmentalism. And that's a good thing. That's cool. And so one of my big things down there is keeping that momentum. We're doing really great things. We've done great things for over 50 years. We should do great things for the next 50 years. And it's our obligation, as if we want to live in a society and we want to clean our water and we want to have clean rivers, it's essential. So it's very important. It's also very important to the economic viability of this town. We can't just bring in any business and say that we have capacity. We need to look at it. We need to look at the resiliency of the plant. We need to use the correct data points of not volume, but strength of waste. We have a lot of work to do, but we've done a lot of work. And I think the town needs to acknowledge that that story is a success story. That this town, in a world that's reactionary to laws, right? We're always reacting. Oh, well, now we have to do this. Well, now we have to do this. This town didn't do that. They did it on their own. So,
So there should be a close relationship between the planning board and the treatment,
absolutely. Hmm.
which hasn't really been that way.
So you ready you guys want to get really overwhelmed? So I'm budgeting in the next year an industrial pretreatment program, and it most likely will entail a whole nother ordinance. And so it's a lot of work. In a lot of towns, it's a whole nother division of the wastewater treatment, but this town needs it. We do have industrial users, and we'd like to invite more industrial users. And so I invite you all, if you have some time, I can create primers for you too, but look into industrial pretreatment programs, how they work, how towns enforce them. And it's really a good thing because it tells businesses what they need and what they need to do. And so no one wants to come to a town and they're like, yeah, go ahead, set up shop. And then you find out years down the road, you're creating toxicity or something, and you're causing the town problems, and then you have to double back. And you have to double back, and then you have to get compliance, and then they're like, so having these regulations in place, having a good working regulation industrial pretreatment is really beneficial for any new businesses and to acknowledge their waste stream and what they're doing, and really having it all in place so it's an easy process. Yep.
Does that system require a divided system, or is that something within the network?
It's about permitting. So what you do is we'd have to survey every single user, and you base their pre-treatment requirements by the nature of their waste stream. And then you issue a permit. And under that permit, each permit is written for each business. And under that permit, it's identifying if there's anything needs to be done with their waste stream. So Portland has over 50 industrial users. I'm friends with the person that runs the program. So there's best management practice users. So Amtrak used to do oil changes in Portland. They don't anymore, but they have an oil separator. So, but they're still an industrial user. So they're a best practice, right? So literally, the town sends them a letter. Is your oil separator working? They send back a letter, yes. And then other businesses, they have different waste streams. Like South Portland, they have microchips. They're making microchips. You see them from the highway, the Texas Instruments. Well, they use super clean water, but then they use acid. So they need pH control. Then there's a fish packing in South Portland. They have lots of fat, oil, and grease, but it's insoluble. So all they need is a grease trap, and then they get a lot of bones, so they have a grinder. So you tailor every single permit to every single business to ensure that the plant doesn't get upset. And so I'm finding letters from 03 from the DEP recommending that the town do this, and we're playing catch up, but it's something we need to do, and it's something that will benefit the town long term.
Why haven't we done it before? What's the difficulty of doing that?
It's
Having
a pain in the
team
butt.
go out,
Yeah,
evaluate,
it's a lot of work, and we have a really small department, and typically, like South Portland, it's a whole separate division of the wastewater. It has its own hierarchy and everything. And what I'm looking at is having a modified version of that. So there's approved and there's unapproved. When you're approved by the EPA, and you sort of become the legal regulating force. We don't really want that. What we want to do is just get to that point and then still keep the legal liability with the DEP. So, but it's a really good thing. Like, you can answer those questions. If an investor comes in, hey, we got a tannery, we want to come in here, and then, what does a tannery use? What are the chemicals? What are they doing? And a lot of it is just inventory. How much do you have on hand? How much do you use? It's just a really simple regulating force to make sure we know what's going on. I have letters from '88 with the guy before Brent, And he was sending letters to like 6 different businesses saying, hey, we had this discharge, get your act together. And so when you have this program, you're permitting each business, you know the chemicals and the things that each business has. And so if you have a discharge to the plant, you have an upset to the plant, you're not just sending this umbrella letter to the industries you think that it is, you know who it is. And so you say, hey, you give them a warning, you're not allowed to. Was there an incident? What are you discharging? And this all falls along with this toxicity. If we're not able to track the toxicity and we have a major event, it's all on us. So
So we talk about things like that. Would your ordinance include potentially requiring industrial users like that to have the appropriate instrumentation installed?
100%.
So they can monitor the
Yes.
flow?
yeah. And all those are,
Down to Sappi, there's no reason other businesses shouldn't have to do the same.
yeah, and all that's written in the NPD, CFR, the federal law. So we've been in this middle ground, and the time is over. We need to just start regulating it, and it will create. We're having problems at the plant, and at the end of the day, it's our fault, and it costs this town money. So we can't be taken advantage of. So
All right, take it, you could probably go on all night.
thank you guys.
You're
Okay.
very well-versed in your field, and we thank you for bringing this stuff to our attention. You know, I think all of us agree that we need a system that does work. And how we fund it, there might be some disagreements about it, but I think that's where we're at, and maybe this new ordinance needs to actually look at charging people by volume and charging people. I mean, if just off the top of my head, if you took your budget, $1 million a year,
Yep.
you cut it in half, now it's 500,000, and you have to derive everything else you need to accomplish your goal from volume fees and fees for people that bring septage. Okay? What would that look like?
Well, the actual total septage is like, we're looking at a potential maybe $30,000.
Okay, so it's nothing, really.
It's not nothing though. Like that pump was like 10 grand 2 years in a row. So it's like it covers what we're doing. And that's what the point is. It's not about creating a bunch of money from the tax base. It's about covering what is going on. Yep.
$30,000 is all the cost, the extra cost of septage. But yet, to run the sewer system for the people that use it, it costs $1 million a year. I mean, and you're saying that it isn't a level
I
playing
think-
field. It isn't. It's
I think you're
still-
generalizing.
It's not even
I think you're generalizing without data points. And so what I can do is I can bring these data points together and analyze how the different taxpayers and how it costs people that are on it and people that aren't.
So basically, this is a tax issue. So we need to look at maybe a different tiers of taxes for who uses what, and you pay for what you use.
We can't do that. One thing, we've got a private, yeah,
That's
we
outside
don't
our
have,
purview.
other towns that do it, the town owns the water district. This is a private,
Not necessarily. All he needs is the data.
well, yeah, but maybe if I'm sitting here and you call me up and I own the water district and I've got, all of a sudden you say to me, I want you to be responsible to send me all the information on how much water, I might say to you, I'm not gonna do that. It's gonna cost me money. I gotta hire another person, I gotta hire a couple people.
You talking about user fees?
Yeah.
So if we were ever to go to user fees, we'd have to create a contract with Maine Water to release the volumes to us, and that's how you charge.
Yeah, but they may not wanna do that.
And the big problem with us going to user fees, yeah.
Okay, we've been long. We have to curtail this right here.
Okay.
So-
I can put something together with you guys to have better numbers. But the overall concept is we have an existing sewer policy that we are not enforcing. It's not posted, and we need to amend it, and then we need to amend the ordinance to support that policy. So,
How many houses in Skowhegan, Aaron?
Oh geez, I don't know off the top of my head.
Brian used to know that all the top of his head.
I never retain that type of information.
I-
So
yeah.
it's like, yeah, somebody else knows or
It's
I'll.
been a fire hose effect here, and everything I thought I could retain, I read a lot every day.
Might just
so.
Google it.
Well, we're going to wind up here. We have no selectmen tonight. Department heads.
I'm here.
You already had an opportunity. We're gonna pass you. Members. Aaron?
Nope.
Anjanette? Dan?
Said enough.
Jeff?
I'm good.
Randy?
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to say is, yeah, I'd like some information. Would be
I
really
can-
helpful to
I can
understand.
bring you guys, I can put together some primers, some packets with all the data points, historical data points, and have it make more sense of what I'm seeing down there at the plant, so.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You're running behind all the time. In the
Yes.
sense with, yeah, you got an issue down there that's sneaking up on you all the time.
What, down there?
Yeah.
Oh, we're
Was it-
Skeletons in the Closet is the name of the latest album,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
we're pulling off.
I'm just hearing you talk, and I'm going, it's equipment failures, and it's due to products and so on and so forth. Yeah, and
Well,
I can see what
wastewater is a
yeah.
huge burden for towns.
Yeah.
And, we've done a good job, and we need to keep the momentum, and we need to use our money wisely, and unfortunately, we have to realize that you need to spend money to save money, so.
Right.
Andy?
I don't have anything more. Thank you for coming to.
You got it.
Yeah,
You guys, I'll be back in 1 month, and I'll have those data points, and we'll make this make sense for you. So,
Thank you.
thanks.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? We're adjourned. Don't forget to sign the minutes.
Yeah, look what I have.
what do you got?
Look at that.
What is that?
Look at that.
Oh, you showed up. There you go.
I showed up. I got my,